It is possible, of course, that the Mueller investigation could lead to impeachment proceedings against President Trump. 20 years ago, after President Bill Clinton was impeached, Arkansas Congressman Asa Hutchinson was one of the Republican House managers and presented an obstruction of justice case to the entire United States Senate.
It is simply any corrupt act or attempt to influence or impede the proper functioning system of justice. It is a criminal offense, a felony, and it has historically been an impeachable offense. The obstruction of justice is of great consequence and significance to the integrity of our nation when committed by anyone, but particularly by the chief executive of our land, the President of the United States.
Well, joining me now is Asa Hutchinson, who is now the governor of Arkansas and a former member of Congress. And from Stamford, Connecticut is Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, who sits currently on the House Intelligence Committee. Welcome to both of you. Governor, let me start with you. Good morning. Simple question here. Obstruction of justice, if that is among the chief charges against President Trump, that was something that you brought to the United States Senate against then President Bill Clinton. How serious, in your mind, is an obstruction of justice charge against a president of the United States?
Well, it's very serious, of course, and that's one of the reasons we pursued that back in President Clinton's impeachment trial. But you also have to remember it's a very high bar. As that was presented, there was not sufficient vote in the Senate to convict on that. And the American public, they look at any charge against the President of the United States with great scrutiny, as they should. So it's a very high bar. And in this instance, I think that's probably one of the most interesting aspects of the anticipated Mueller report as to what form it would be in. You've got to remember that, first of all, Kenneth Starr, in his independent counsel review, 4-year investigation that was preceded by Robert Fisk. This one is less than 2 years. And so it's being presented. Will there be specific itemization of crimes that could constitute an impeachable offense? That was the outline with Kenneth Starr. I don't anticipate that happening in this instance, but that will help guide and direct Congress as to what the is on that.
Congressman Himes, what are you looking for from this report? And is it an automatic that we're going to see at least an inquiry into impeachment?
Well, first and foremost, what I'm looking for is, a report that gets to the truth and that gets out there. And this is really important. You know, in the preface of your show, you said Democrats are hoping for this and Republicans are hoping for that. And look, it's a political world, so I do think people have their hopes. But more than anything else, you know, the question of the Russian interference and the possibility of collusion by the president and his people has twisted our politics into something unrecognizable for the last 2 years, including behavior on the part of the president, attacking the FBI, attacking Bob Mueller. Everything about this has become political. The way to end that, of course, is for the truth to be out there. And if that truth indicates that President Trump committed no crime, impeachable or otherwise, so be it. If it indicates that he did, that's a much more complicated world. But first and foremost, given that we've been on the edge of our seats for the last 2 years on this issue, everyone in this country needs to know what happened, and then we decide where to take it from there.
Governor, you said something interesting. You said you lamented the fact that you couldn't figure out a way to make the impeachment proceedings in the late 90s more bipartisan, which, of course, on one hand you think, well, of course you couldn't. But I understood what you meant, meaning, but you couldn't even get bipartisan cooperation for the mechanics of it. All right? How do you convince your fellow Republicans today that that was a mistake that Democrats made with you? Don't make the same mistake if Democrats go down this road.
First of all, you have to try, and that's a big part of it, is you have to have conversations as to how should this be approached in a bipartisan way, how to deal with the Mueller report, of what should be disclosed, the timing of the disclosure, as well as, what's the next steps. And of course, it all depends on what is there. And again, this could be simply a report that does not outline any offenses against the President of the United States. Then you're going to wind up having investigations by different committees. It's going to wind up partisan, which is a disappointment. But I think you first have to try to say, let's communicate what is the right thing to do here. what can be done in a bipartisan way.
Congressman Himes, look, the House Intelligence Committee, to me, has proven pretty difficult to see bipartisan cooperation. We've seen some on the Senate Intel side. Is there anything that has changed in the Intel Committee since the chairmanship's changed?
Well, one obvious answer to that question is that the chairman is no longer Devin Nunes. And Devin Nunes, as chairman, of course, very early on in the last Congress, sort of turned over his activities to being the defense of the president. And Devin is part of that group, and it's not a huge group, but part of that group in the Congress that is really fully dedicated, facts be damned, to defending this president. And I sort of chuckle at Governor Hutchinson's optimism, and he's absolutely right. You know, we need to try to make this bipartisan in how we approach whatever comes out. It's more important today than ever because, of course, today facts are disputed. I mean, I remember the Clinton situation in the 90s. There wasn't a lot of dispute about the facts. Now each and every fact is disputed. And by the way, I'd point out that we're going to get sort of a feel for the partisan warping of our system this week because there will be a resolution in front of the House saying that the president's emergency declaration, that is decision to spend money contrary to the will of the Congress, is not constitutional. And, you know, it's going to be quite a lot of the Republicans who were in the Obama administration who called him a king and a dictator, and the pen and the phone was such a startlingly damaging thing to our Constitution, I suspect are going to vote to not hold President Trump accountable for going around the Constitution on the issue of his wall.
Look, I got two final questions for each of you. Congressman Himes, let me start with you. Michael Cohen's going to be testifying in front of your committee this week. What specifically are you looking for from him?
Well, you know, Michael Cohen is going to jail for lying to my committee. So obviously step one is to re-ask him the questions that he felt he needed to lie to us about when he testified in the last Congress. So we're going to want to get to the truth, allow him to correct the record. And then, of course, the question is, okay, now that we know the truth, what are the follow-ups? It's going to be an interesting week in that regard because, of course, he'll appear in my committee after he appears publicly in the Oversight Committee. So we'll also have an opportunity to ask follow-up questions. And remember, there's always some question here about whether Michael Cohen feared retribution for his testimony. I don't think he's going to say a lot that is classified, but he may have some things that he doesn't feel comfortable saying publicly that he then wants to say either to the Senate or to the House Intelligence Committees in closed session.
Governor Hutchinson, I want to actually ask you another question. Governor Larry Hogan, at the you're here for the National Governors Association. Governor Larry Hogan has lamented that the RNC seems to be rigging the rules to even prevent a challenge, a Republican primary challenge to the sitting president. Do you think the RNC should, let the chips fall where they may?
Well, this is President Trump's RNC in the sense that he appoints the chairman. So obviously there is something that is pro the White House and the administration. But obviously in our system of democracy and in our party, anybody's free to make the challenge. Sometimes it's a more difficult environment than others. In this, with President Trump's record, with what he's accomplished, it would be very difficult for somebody to mount a successful challenge at this point.
There is a debate in your party. Do you think that's a debate that should be had this cycle or not?
Well, you're always going to have a debate. But like I said, you know, there's people who criticize President Trump because we don't like his style. You don't win campaigns on style. I mean, you might win, but in terms of challenging an incumbent, it's about policy and what you've accomplished and what he's done in terms of increased border security in the court, deregulating more authority to the governors, in terms of de-emphasizing North Korea as a problem and resolving that. He's had tremendous success. And so that's the record that he would present in the primary. It'd be difficult for anybody to challenge that.
All right. Governor Asa Hutchinson, Republican from Arkansas, thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
And sharing your views. Congressman Jim Himes, Democrat from Connecticut, will be watching you this week for those Cohen hearings, and thanks for coming on as well. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
When we come back, it's been a big week, as you know, and it'll be a big week going forward. President Trump's headed to Hanoi. Michael Cohen's testifying before 3 congressional committees. And oh, by the way, the field keeps growing of Democratic candidates trying to challenge Mr. Trump. Panel is next.